All right, the bulk of the peer edit would be the various body paragraphs that you are writing to really blame who is at fault for the Cold War. And that exists in paragraphs 3 through 6. So let's take a look at these together here. So what we're going to start off with in paragraph 3, your second body paragraph, is a discussion on the distrust between the United States and the Soviet Union. And it can start to discuss things like, say, for example, the Red Scare in the United States, or the U.S. occupation of Russian cities during the Russian Revolution, or even one of the documents, Truman, Stalin meeting at Potsdam Conference. But primarily, it's probably going to be a discussion on the long-held opinions by both sides and their ideologies, because that's what we went through in class. That's what was provided in the setup for the activities. Okay? And so what you want to do is, first of all, you should have already rated the thesis statement. Okay? And then from there, you want to be able to talk about how the document addresses the historical context and describes the distrust that existed on both sides before the war. Okay? And so what you want to be able to provide is a single primary source document in order to demonstrate that they've supported their particular points. So let me go and provide an example of what this might actually look like. Okay? So in this case here, you have this statement right here. Okay? Unfortunately, American attitudes towards communism have always been negative, and Kennan's long telegram, where he calls world communism, quote, a malignant parasite. Okay. This negative attitude makes American policymakers suspicious of all Soviet activities and will be quick to accuse Soviet actions as aggressive and expansionistic. So this first part here is the quote or a summary. So if it's an image, you probably want a summary. If you have a quote, you can quote from the document. You can even explain the document to demonstrate and to show that you understand what it means. Okay? And so if the author does this, okay, what you can do is go ahead and they've demonstrated that they've successfully used the document, and the second part here is an explanation of whether or not the U.S. or the Soviet Union was more at fault. So in other words, they need to connect that document with their thesis statement. Okay? Who's at fault for making tensions worse and for breaking the wartime alliance? And so if they're able to do so, go ahead and mark in the specific tab on the right-hand side. So just do the click the checkbox, and you should be, and that should increase the counter number for you as well, so you can figure that one out later on. Okay, so that's part of the document analysis for this particular body paragraph. Okay, and so if they were successful in doing so, come back to the primary part of the peer edit and go and rate this based on your own understanding here in terms of whether or not they used one or more primary source documents as evidence for this particular piece. Okay? And then finally, there is a section where they need to transition on. Again, this is a narrative. So what you want to be able to do is explain what has happened from the time that they're describing to the next section. Okay, so a few explanations for this transition statement is whether or not this period differed from the wartime alliance. Okay, there's an explanation of the reluctance of the U.S. or Soviet Union in cooperating with one another, or there's ulterior motives. The Soviet Union wants to have these buffer states, and so they're going to do whatever is possible, so they don't care about the alliance with the United States, and so forth. So, but some sort of explanation that will generate events or ideas that moves the paragraph along, or moves the not only paragraph but the narrative along. It's moving the story forward. Okay? And so if they have done so, go ahead and rate this based upon how successful they're able to do so, and continue as best as you possibly can. Okay? But this is the second body paragraph. In the next video, we'll take a look at the other ones where the relationship really starts to break down.